Was that coming from the universe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an attribute of the universe. It's an attribute
Pulling
of
you
consciousness. Yeah, it was.
because-
I'd removed a lie and it was replaced. I'd reclaimed a part of myself. I removed a lie, an obscuration, and my view. The Buddhists call it the clear view. They said there are no problems. The only problem is that people think there's a problem. He said, but there is an obscured view and a clear view. If there's an obscured view, remove the obscurations and the view will expand. So consciousness means we just start to see a little bit more of what was always there. Everything was always possible. But our ego doesn't want to see these things, and it will fight to the death not to let you see them, because the moment you see consciousness, it is consumed, it's gone. It doesn't exist. The ego can't exist in the light of consciousness. So this adverse force, or these adverse forces, will fight to the death to stop you from revealing consciousness. So you have to have tremendous courage. So I just suddenly knew everything was possible. I was working on the door, still working as a bouncer, and I was on talk shows with Hollywood superstars. Even the people on the shows were saying, "How did you get on here?" I said, "I just kept ringing up." I said, I was certain I could. I said to my publisher, "Give me a phone for an afternoon, I'll get on any show." I just knew. This certainty was actually me. I was so certain I knew anything was possible. And of course, anything is possible, but that doesn't mean it's probable, but it's possible. Right. So you can go from this small amoeba, this single-celled amoeba of a spark of an idea, and it can transform into some being that's trillions and trillions of cells. I mean, I look at your story. When I first met you, and you were working out of that tiny little office, and it was like this small spark of a brilliant idea that you've developed into this conglomerate. Now you're talking to some of the most incredible people in the world. Jordan Peterson and Muji, who I love. I love Jordan Peterson as well. I mean, you've had some incredible people on this show, but that started from a tiny spark of an idea that you've developed and you've brought to a conclusion. So you really know, you're sitting here now, you can take this wherever you want to go. It's possible because you have certainty of that because you're doing it. And that's what happened to me. One book, I just thought, it's possible for me to take this wherever I want to go. And suddenly I'm in Orlando Bloom's front room talking about how we should do this role and what this means, and it's very beautiful and very surreal, but we can't underestimate, as you said, how terrifying that can be. And it's not just like you're saying it's frightening. You know, there have been times, if I'm being really honest, there's been times, especially after writing notes and as Divine CEO, when I was completely empty. I had a complete kenosis, so I was completely empty, and I was directed to read the Zohar. The Zohar is if you imagine you've got the Christian Bible, and the first 5 books is the first 5 books of Moses, which is the Torah. Then you've got Kabbalah, which is the mystical arm of the Torah. Then you've got the Zohar, which is the exegesis or the commentary on the Kabbalah, and then you've got things like the Tanya, which are commentaries on the Zohar. So you've got this like 23, 24 volume set of books, and I was told to study that to replace what I'd got out. And there were days when I was studying that, I was studying it full time. There were days when I felt I was going to tip into insanity. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating. I had to, if I read even a chapter more than what I was able to do each day, I had to really collect myself to stop myself falling into insanity. I felt so on the edge. I mean, I disappeared for about 5 years when I was doing all this stuff, but I was just starting. I'd found an inner tutor, and this inner tutor was saying, "Read this, talk to this person, go on that show." I was starting to get direct instruction from an inner guru, not from an external guru, but from an inner guru, from an inner tutor. But it was hugely challenging. I don't know if I told you the story, but when Sharon was typing out notes for me, there was a point in it where she said, she actually cried, because it was hard work for her typing it out, because obviously I was going through a catharsis and she was going through it with me. And she said, "Geoff, I'm reading this, She was crying. She said, I'm typing this out and I'm going over it and over it, and I'm thinking, has he lost his mind? And I said, Sharon, that went a long time ago. That ship has already sailed. Don't you worry about that. She said, yeah, but you keep talking about tightening the room. So when I was teaching, and I've got big classes, especially my senior students, my senior teachers, if they started to hang on the periphery of my class and they weren't tipping in, but they weren't tipping out. So if your proximity to truth is strong, it will reject people and it will draw people in. The proximity is very powerful. If people were on the periphery and hovering, neither falling in nor falling out, I would tighten the room. I would double down on my certainty, and I would see people be spat out of the room. And some of them were spat out of the room and they'd end up on the World Wide Web attacking me, And other ones were drawn in. But she said, you keep talking about tightening the room, and I'm looking around and I'm recognizing that there's only me left. I'm the only one of your students left. I'm the only one of your senior teachers left. And she said, am I going to go? Is it me next? And it was so emotional for her. She's such a strong girl. And we just laughed. I mean, she was crying, but we just laughed and laughed. And I just said, look, all I'm doing is I'm finding the truth. I'm like Dorian Yates. I'm going to go in the gym. I'm going to find the burn quickly, and I'm going to stay in the burn long, because that's all I'm interested in. And I said, and some people are going to be spat out because it's too much, and some people are going to be drawn in and it will be irresistible. I said, you've always been drawn in. I said, there's been moments I know when you felt like, stepping away because you don't understand it, but you understand me. You don't need to understand it. So she's always been really solid. She's always been steadfast. But when you create a proximity, the whole world changes. When you get a proximity to the truth, the whole world changes. Everything around you changes. There's all sorts of miracles and siddhis happen. Yeah. But that's what that book did to me. It was my hope is that there'll be some kid out there that's going to pick it up, and it's going to have a healing effect. Like your story, the documentary you did about the heroin and stuff like that. Yeah. That kind of truth is going to go out and act as an intercession for people. That's all I'm interested in. That's all I'm interested in. I'm interested in serving the truth.